Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope all is well. I'm Myles Dyer, and welcome to Myles Dyer Live, where this time every week we hang out talking about all sorts, anything from the fun to the serious. It could be fun things like quizzes, popular culture, gaming, and then other times we take it a bit more serious with more reflective topics. It could be mental health and well-being, life hacks, world events, or just life in general, which is definitely what today's going to be about. King Rolo in the chat says, cool tune. Yeah, that was Tokyo. Oh man, I've even forgotten the last name of the artist. It was Tokyo Machine, of course, with Journey. I love their stuff. Real feel good with a retro vibe as well. I want to say hello to everyone in the chat. We've got Mojo. Hello to you. We've got Canic Tunes. We've got Kira. Hello to all of you. I hope you are all doing well. We've also got Amnesia Pete. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. I am back in the UK now. For anyone that tuned in last week, I was in Alabama, USA, seeing my good friend Amal, and was doing the show from my laptop. Hello to Karina. Good to see you here. Yeah, I was in Alabama, so it was a bit interesting doing it at, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I was feeling pretty unwell. I'm still rattling off this annoying cough. I assume I must have got it. I mean, there was conversations about whether or not I had cat allergies, and I still think that's a possibility. But unfortunately, Amal has texted me yesterday to say that she got sick 2 days after I left, and she feels like shit. So I'm sorry, Amal, if you're watching, and I wish you a speedy recovery. Count it as my gift of thanks to you for taking good care of me all of last week. The Soul Raving Game Cat, good to have you here. Hope you are doing good. And we got Chris. Hello to all of you. It's been a bit of a rush today. I was back to work yesterday, and I did have post-vacation blues. As soon as I got back from Alabama, I felt really depressed the next day for a number of reasons. One, because whenever you have a good time abroad and you're on vacation and you come back to reality, that can feel a bit meh. Also jet lag, I'm terrible with. I can't sleep on the flights home. But I did get home. I landed at around, I was out the airport at 1 p.m. I think I was home by 1 p.m. in the afternoon UK time. And I hadn't slept all night, which means that it would have been, well, if it was 1 o'clock, it would have been 7 o'clock in the morning for me on my local time in Alabama. I had a 2-hour nap in the afternoon and then stayed awake till 1 in the morning, and I thought, yes. And this is always the misnomer about jet lag. It's not as long as you sleep when you're meant to, you fix it. Your body clock is still like working out. So although I went to bed at 1 in the morning, I woke up at 9 a.m. and I thought, this is great, but I felt absolutely exhausted. So I went back to sleep and I slept till about 1, 2 in the afternoon. But that happened. So there's that bit as well. And then what's the other part of just, I mean, I just had an amazing time. I miss Amal deeply. And it's definitely inspired the conversation for today because I'm someone who lives by myself and I've been used to this for many, many years. And there's this metaphor of like, if you ask a fish if it can see water, because water's all around it, it can't see it, it's kind of used to it. That's kind of how I feel with my living predicament. And so having spent 6 days living with someone where we were pretty much around each other the whole time, coming home, I was like, wow, okay, I realise how much like the importance of human connection and, spending time with people, not just when it's social events. And so that definitely inspired the topic for today, which is about living conditions. We're going to have a conversation about like how everyone lives. Do you live with other people? Do you live by yourself? Do you live in those circumstances out of choice and because it's what you want to be the case, or maybe you're forced out of circumstance to be in that situation? So we will definitely get on with that later on in the show, but that is why it did come to mind. So I've been quite reflective, but I tell you what, something that can really help with vacation blues is returning to some good news. And as I mentioned already, yesterday was my first day back to work. and I discovered that I got a promotion, which got all signed off today, so I'm now able to talk about it. So I'm incredibly happy about that. Obviously, I work at a job that I'm incredibly grateful to work at because I love the work that we're doing. I love the people that we work with. But to have a promotion to come back to was incredibly good news. So yeah, that's really, really nice. So whereas my job before was content development manager, my job role now, or it was actually junior content development manager, but now my job title is content development specialist, which I feel is definitely a lot more fitting for what I do. Because although I do some management, it is normally to do with, specializing in content development and things like that. So very, very, very happy about that. Just a bit of housekeeping. If you haven't already, do hit the like button. It helps me out, and do subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about all future Myles Dyer lives every Wednesday, but also my live streams that I do every week. And there is a lot of live streams happening this month. We have so many VR games, and I was debating doing some last night, and I still might do some tomorrow, but I might just wait until the weekend, because the thing is, once you come back from vacation, and especially if you got an illness like I do, if you just jump straight back into things, you can undo a lot of the good work you've done. So I'm just like, I'm going to sort of take my time. But when we start playing games, there's going to be a lot of games to play, including, yes, a lot of horror games, which will not be so fun for me, but will be lots and lots of fun with you. So stay tuned for all of that. And thank you, Jack, and to everyone else who's been providing congrats in the chat. That means a lot. So in terms of the schedule for my channel and how it all works, basically every Wednesdays, as I've mentioned, is Myles Dyer live. And last week in Alabama, it was really cool having a mole come on camera to play a bit of a Alabama quiz, which was good fun. And I just want to say huge thanks to everyone for being incredibly nice for Amal, because she was in two minds about joining on the show. She said afterwards she just didn't want to intrude, and I was like, "You're not intruding." Like it's amazing to have her on that. Then on Fridays, I co-host with Brian, PSVR Without Parole, but because I was flying last Friday, I actually did it on that Wednesday. It was a bit of a double bill, which was good fun. And then at weekends, but often during the week as well, I do VR Let's Plays. And as I've mentioned already, lots and lots are coming up. I don't actually have anything to show in terms of what VR games I'm going to be playing, just because I'm still designing the thumbnails. But I've got a lot of games that have come through, and some that I've been playing already that I'm really, really excited to show you because I'm having a good time. And to be honest, even when it comes to the horror games, they are going to be a good time. I think I've definitely toughened up a lot, although I say that now. It's very easy when you haven't got the headset on and you're not standing in a very spooky space. But I do have a feeling that this could quite possibly be the best October we've had so far. So yeah, we will have to see about that. Now, before we get on with the main topic of the show, and I just want to say, by the way, I just read a bit in the chat, Mojo, without going into specifics, although you are talking about it publicly there, Mojo, I just read about a personal tragedy that you've been dealing with. So I just want to send my huge love to you and the family. And it's really good to see, as always, that the chat is really positive and that. I just hope that you take all the time that you need, and connection is the ultimate healer. And so I hopefully you've got lots of family and friends that you can stay close with during that time. But condolences sending your way. Two things we always talk about each week. One thing is vitamin G. Every week we like to take a moment just to talk about things that we are grateful for in our lives, and it's a good thing to do. You don't have to express them in the chat. You can just keep them to yourself. It's just sometimes nice to take a moment to think about what you're grateful for. It could be something that happened to you. It could be a person. It could be just an experience. It could be absolutely anything. But just taking a moment every day to think about what you're grateful for can be powerful. And so, I invite you all right now just to think about what you're grateful for. For me and what I'm grateful for, it kind of feeds off from last week. I mean, I would have just said I'm grateful for Mo again because I'm still buzzing from the trip out there. She was an absolutely wonderful host. took good care of me even when I was super low energy with my horrible illness. Yeah, it was such a great time. But I'm just grateful for technology. Technology that we get to do things like this right now. But when I got the flight back, and I got on the flight from North Carolina to London Heathrow, waiting to get onto the flight and seeing everyone getting ready to go on the flight, seeing that many people. And again, doesn't matter how many times I fly, and I know that the science adds up. Obviously, it's done thousands of times every day with millions and millions of people. It still blows my mind that aircraft are able to get up in the air, stay up there and land, and do it so smooth all the time. But I was on the, pretty much the back row. I think I was maybe 2 rows forward, because I was on the back row on the wing, not the actual wing of the plane. That would be a hell of a seat. But on the edge where it, just behind you are the toilets. You have quite a lot of leg room on the aisle, because the aisle goes into 2 at that point. So I think I was seat 38J. So 38 back, and each row up to that point was pretty much, it'd be a bit less because obviously first class was a lot more spaced out, but you're talking around, most rows were 10 people. And so you're on a flight that is, 300 to 400 people. And just seeing that many people on the flight, and again, it being able to take off is just mind-blowing. And so it was just quite a moment of gratitude of just what an incredible time to live in. But there's no doubt in the future they'll look back on the way that we live now and go, God, how backwards were they with all that flimsy tech, those little metal tins they used to send in the sky. Yeah, that is my vitamin G. Does anyone have any vitamin Gs they want to share? People are talking about heat and that. It will be 18 this weekend. I mean, yeah, right now it is 13 degrees. It has definitely dropped a little bit. Kira says the sun is shining a lot, so the yearly SAD is pushed back a bit. Definitely, whenever you get the chance, go out for walks. I've been going out for lunchtime walks, getting some sun. Really important, especially at this time of year for sure. Callie says, vitamin G for the people helping me at work at present, and also lovely ongoing chat with someone here via Discord. That's really, really good. Mojo says, my vitamin G is good memories that help to get through the bad times. They help to remind you that the sadness will pass. And yeah, absolutely, Mojo. And I always, I absolutely love this quote, which I don't know if it was something said towards the end of their life or it was just something that was brought up again. I'm not someone that is a royalist, but there are a lot of qualities to the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth. But the quote that she had was, love is the... Well, I'm going to get it the wrong way round. She says, grief is the price we pay for love. And I love that because there are so many ways of articulating the contrast that we find in life. I think of the movie Vanilla Sky, where they say the sweet isn't so sweet without the bitter or the sour. I'm going to be butchering a lot of these quotes. But, you can't feel happy unless you've known what sadness is. Everything is in context with other experiences. And so, there are some misguided beliefs that, you shouldn't... Feeling sad is bad, and that's not the case. Feeling sad shouldn't be associated with bad. If you're sad because you've lost someone, it's because you cared about them, it's because they meant a lot to you, and you're going through the grieving process. And that is a good thing, because if you didn't feel sad, then it means there was nothing there. Much love once more. Excuse me, sorry, my throat. I just want to say a huge thank you here to King Rolo, the James Cat, with a super chat with the £5, says, from King Rolo, the James Cat, thanks for your positive vibes, having to deal with some difficult people at the moment and need a pick-me-up. Your live cast is definitely helping. Well, thank you for being here and for the super chat, and a huge thanks to everyone that does support this show in whatever way. And trust me, I had major anxiety. Sometimes you just start going through stuff in your past, in your life, mistakes you've made and things like that, and you just go round and round in your head, and you start beating yourself up, and it's just you can start catastrophizing and things like that. Or you start dealing with difficult people, and I've definitely dealt with difficult people this past week. Yeah, if there are things like this that can help get your mind off it, everyone here is welcome, and it's a good community, and it's wonderful to have you here and your continued support. So thank you for that. If you haven't already, do join our Discord, Empathy Arcade. It is an amazing community. I'm definitely going to be more engaged in it. I've taken a bit of a break when I was on vacation, and then when I was recovering when I got back. But if you like any of the people in the chat here, then you'll like the Discord, because it's the same people. And something else I want to talk about is in the background of this live stream. We try and do it every week. We try and do a puzzle. So it should be pinned in the live chat. And if you go to it, hopefully this will work. Here we go. We have a puzzle here which you can go and help out with. Only 4 moves have been done so far. There are 509 pieces, and the way it works is you click on a button and then you click on something else and it will swap them. And if it goes green, it means you've got it in the right place. Oh, look, it did it there. So it went green. If you do it back, it means it's the wrong place. So there we go. That piece there I've just done is right. So I can move this around. And oh, there you go. That's green as well. So we got some good pieces there. That's green. All right, we're making progress here. I mean, it's not my job to play this, obviously. This is for you to have fun with. But, you know, have a play around, see how you get on. Yeah, it's everyone in the chat, because sometimes people like to fiddle with things in the background. And we'll keep tuning in. Usually the task is to see if you can complete the puzzle before the end. And it is, if you need a reference, it is of the thumbnail of this live stream. Okay? Amnesia Pete says, my most recent vitamin G is that I felt something for the first time for years. I had almost forgotten how it feels. I felt how it is to be in love. That's amazing, Amnesia Pete. That's really, really, really good. Just catching up on the chat. Yeah, so much positivity. Love it, love it, love it. The other thing we also talk about on the show is Dyer discoveries. Are there things that I have discovered that I wish to share? And I went for a flotation tank on Monday on my day off. And then my friend Johnny asked, who lived nearby, if I wanted to go over for a cup of tea. How British. And so I was like, yeah, it'd be good to catch up. Showed him photos of my trip, had a good conversation about stuff. And he asked me if I wanted some Biscuit tea. Now, anyone that follows me on Instagram may have seen this already, because I was doing a poll to find out if people had had this before. I had never... Well, I might have heard of it before, but it's basically tea that tastes of biscuits. Has anyone ever had this? I love holding stuff up with the little emoji going, oh my God, oh my God. It's just like, I mean, I don't, when I have it, I don't know how to explain it, because I can't tell if it's got a subtle biscuit taste or a really overwhelming one. I mean, I guess it could be somewhere in between, but biscuit tea, how very British. Discover the perfect cuppa. I love this so much. Chris says, ew, no, that's too much. Mojo, never heard of it. So I got that in Aldi, but they have them in all the stores and that. So yeah, I mean, I highly recommend. And Macon Artist, hey, welcome, good to have you here. Canuck says, weird for those too lazy to dip a biscuit in tea. I know, because the whole thing about dip it, I don't know if this is something that's done anywhere else in the world. In America, if you dip cookies in your tea, it's such a comfort thing. I used to love coming home from school as a kid and getting a chocolate chip cookie, dipping it in. Oh, it was the best thing ever. But the issue is when you dip it in too much and you get a bit too greedy and it falls off, you take the biscuit out and it's gone. Where's it gone? The tea's had it. And then at the end of your tea, you've got all this like broken up cookie and stuff. Wolfgang, good to have you here, buddy. I would try the hell out of that tea. Do it. This is your homework. This is your assignment, everyone. See if you can find Biscuit tea. This is the like Aldi brand. I feel like I'd rather just start selling this or sending this out to you. Place one bag in a cup, pour on freshly boiled water and allow to stand for 5 minutes. Jesus Christ. I take it out after like 20 seconds because it's like it's already black, the water. So maybe I need to brew it stronger. Right. Here we go. Everyone's shocked. This is it. Everyone's shocked like the emoji here. Everyone's like, what? So yeah, Johnny, if you're watching, man, you should probably get a endorsement or an affiliate code with Biscuit tea. But yeah, I don't have it first thing in the morning. I don't have any tea first thing. I do the 90-minute rule, but I will always have it as my post-lunch drink, because I am someone, I don't know about you, I'm someone who loves to have something sweet after having a savoury meal. And so I get like these boxes of like mini chocolate muffins or mini brownies and stuff. But, there's a lot of sugar and stuff like that. Whereas this is just like the perfect thing. But I'm curious, it doesn't actually say on it. The sugar content. It doesn't say any of the... I love that. Nothing better than a brew and a biscuit, so why not taste them together in one cup? I can't find in it the sugar content, but yeah, it's good. You used a spoon. Nah, you gotta accept it if it falls in. Yeah. Yeah, you do have the store. That's what I learned when I was in Alabama. Was that you have Aldi, and some places in the US have Lidl. But hopefully they got it. That'd be good. Hey Clem, good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. That's an awesome photo. Is that you in a tunnel? That looks awesome. And Clem says, my girlfriend is obsessed with this tea. I could get obsessed with it. I like it a lot. And I do like it, but a part of me thinks, do I like this, or is it really sickly? I need to work it out. Hannah says, for Vitamin G, I'm so grateful for my new cat called Delia, being healthy despite being a stray. Oh, that's good. On the word resent, at work, someone said they resented email, but they meant they had resent an email I should have got. Ho-hum. Why are we talking about resent? I don't know. Maybe I've missed something in the chat. So many conversations going on. But yeah. Right, everyone. I think it's time that we move on to the main topic of the show. And if you haven't already, do get involved in the puzzle that's just happening there. Only 498 pieces to go. It's going to be a tough one, but I can see people have already been working on the border. Look, the border's actually a good one to do. You can just keep moving it along, you see, until it goes green. You got all these border pieces. Oh man, see, I wish I was just chilling now with you, just doing all these pieces. I just want to do this. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about living arrangements. As I mentioned at the start of the show, I'm someone who lives by myself. I would say it was out of choice. I've lived in this house for maybe 12 years now, and I used to live with my brother. My brother actually, this was his bedroom, and it worked because we were brothers, so sharing all the spaces, it worked. But when my brother moved out, I could have had a housemate move in, but I wasn't comfortable with them having this small room because we wouldn't have been relatives and that, it wasn't a lot of space. But it was also the fact that I felt I just wanted to have a bit more space because I was doing a lot of my video stuff in my living room. I kind of like the idea of having my own office. It obviously worked out well when I started working remotely. And so, I kind of made the decision, all right, I'll pay for all the house bills myself. And I managed to get by. And yeah, I live here by myself. So for some people like me, living by yourself is a choice. For other people, it's just the circumstance they've found themselves falling into. On the flip side, some people have chosen to live with someone else. It could be with a partner or a family member. And other times, it might not be out of choice. I don't know if it's millennials or Gen Z, but there is this term called the boomerang generation. There was a generation of people that moved out of home, but due to the cost of living, they've had to move back in with their parents. I mean, the average age of a first-time buyer in the UK about 10 years ago, I think, was about 40. Like, the cost of living, you don't need me telling you this, is incredibly expensive. And for most people, they're forced to have to rent. And when you rent, that can also have an impact in terms of whether you live by yourself or with someone else, because often the time people are renting or getting places out of necessity. And so when I was in America and stayed with a mole, it's always a question of like, I've always said like, I don't know if I could ever live with someone because like I like having my own personal space, and I know a lot of people I've spoken to. But the reality is, if you find the right person, you will be able to live with them because you'll be completely comfortable in each other's presence. You'll spend time together when you want to, but you'll also be able to give each other the space that they need. And last week was just amazing. Like, me and Amal got on really, really well. We respected each other's space. We were, there for each other when we needed it. Obviously, I didn't have as much freedom because obviously I couldn't drive and stuff like that. Public transport isn't really a thing in the US, but for the trip that it was perfect. We were always out doing stuff. We were ordering food when we needed to, and so when I came home, I really felt it emotionally of like, oh my God, living by yourself. And it doesn't necessarily mean living with a human being. Having a pet, like Elliot the cat, was wonderful. My brother has Theo. It's absolutely lovely. And a lot of people say, Myles, you should get a pet. And I don't want a pet of my own, to be fair. But I can understand the benefits for sure. I can definitely understand. And so that is kind of the starting point of this conversation. I wanted to sort of set the tone that this conversation is not to pit the idea of living alone against living with others. There's no right or wrong, in my opinion. But it's about exploring the vast spectrum of feelings and experiences associated with living by yourself or living with other people. So I'm just curious to know in the chat, like, do you know what? Let me. I should have done this right at the beginning. Let's do a little poll in the chat, shall we? To find out. I could, and I've just realised that closed captions are working. Hooray! Pop out chat. Here we go. So right, I'm just going to do a poll now. Now, I did a poll on Instagram, and I thought I could do it 4 ways, which is, do you live alone by choice or because you have to? Do you know what, actually? What are your living arrangements? Let's have a look here. Yeah, I'm going to do 4 options. So it's going to be, what are your living arrangements? Live alone, choice. Live with someone, choice. Live alone, have to. I don't know if I can word it a better way. Or live with someone, have to. I'm not going to be able to see who's answering what, but at the same time, you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. We'll just leave it there for the moment, just while everyone expresses their thoughts and that. And also, you might have lived in all sorts of circumstances in your life. I'd be really curious to hear it. Just looking at what some of the people... Chris says, yeah, I need a puppy, but they're high maintenance. You were saying about in Alabama, I could have used an Uber or a Lyft. Is it Lyft in America as well? I could have done, but I didn't need to because if I ever wanted to go anywhere, Amal was able to drive me. Bless her. You should get a pet rock, but remember to get it sprayed or neutered. Mojo says, I wouldn't mind living by myself as I don't mind my own company, but I'd love to live with a friend for some company, but we'd respect each other's boundaries and space. And that's what it comes down to. But it can be very difficult when you live in very close quarters with each other. Wolfgang says, I lived alone for a few years. It was nice, and you get to invite anyone you want over. That is the thing, isn't it? It's the kind of the freedom associated with being by yourself. And that's why I think, like, I think both sides of it can coexist. I think there's a lot of freedom to living by yourself. But I do think living... Hey, Rob. Good to see you here. It's going good. It's going good. How you doing, Rob? It's good to have you here, man. Rob, by the way, needs to come on the show at some point. And Rob says, can confirm living with a puppy is a pain in the ass. Oh, man. Just their energy, their constant energy. It's like kids. That was when I first realised I was an adult. I think it was when I had a cousin or something and running around after them in the garden. And you expect them to tire out, and they just don't tire out. It's just something else, isn't it? There we go. King Rolo says, pop a puppet on a finger and you're sorted for a pet. That's very, very true. Okay, Hannah says, pet snakes are the lowest maintenance pet ever. I can go on a week-long vacation without worrying about my snake baby. Is that right? Do you just have to leave loads of food with them? And also, this is not me making a judgment on snakes, because I think snakes are kick-ass. But when it comes to, like, dealing with feelings of loneliness, does a snake fill that gap of needing? Because, like, dogs are very loving, aren't they? They're very loyal. Cats you can cuddle. Isn't that a part of the equation? I mean, you can cuddle snakes, I suppose. I'm really interested to know what it comes to when it comes to, like, human connection. What is it? If it's not with another human, what is it that you need to feel good? And as I'm saying, this conversation all came out because when I came back from Alabama, I came back to my reality and was like, holy shit, like, I live like this. And I'll get used to it very, very quickly, no doubt. But it was just a real, like, gear change for me. And I'm a very social person, but I've only ever been social when I go to do social things. I'm very social on Discord and when I play VR games, but it's not the same. Human touch is very important. I remember when I worked at The Guardian, we went to this sort of branding day, and they had just one of many interesting talks. They had one on, like, touch, when they were talking about, like, iPads and stuff like that, and, you know, the haptic feedback you get, and just how humans are programmed with the importance of touch. It's a part of our psychological diet, if I can call it that. Just having a look here. Yeah, Callie says, there is a lot of freedom about living alone. Any mess you make is down to you and no one else. That is true. Actually, do you know what? My favourite thing about having friends over is it's the biggest motivation to get your house clean. I can just think, actually, when Rob came over, it feels like a few weeks ago. It was probably longer than that now. But I can get the house cleaned so quickly. Like, during the week, it'll be such a chore doing it bit by bit. But if I'm like, right, someone's coming in 2 hours time, right, that's half an hour each room. Go. It's the biggest kick up the ass. And actually, when I was staying at a mall, she was saying, I hope my place smells nice, because that's the other thing as well, is you don't, because you live where you live, you don't actually know how your place smells. And I was joking about, like, yeah, God, I rarely have people over. You don't want people to come over and go, oh, it smells of shit. Oh, I didn't know because I always live in this. Stakhanov says, live alone by choice. I'd say it's both an environment of freedom and loneliness, though I'd wager the loneliness epidemic requires a different frame and level of analysis. That is true. I said to my mum that it's either getting a pet or have kids. It's basically the same thing. It's not the same thing, though. If you have a baby, you can't leave it at home, or you go to the shops or go out. You can do that with a dog, and you can definitely do it with a cat. You leave a kid home alone. Jeez. Baseman Lofty says, working full-time and having a young daughter 50% of the week makes the rest of the week feel a little lonely. So that's the other thing as well, is I only felt the feeling of loneliness when I got back. It's, again... So the other question I have then is it the feeling of loneliness that is damaging, if we're to use that word as like mentally damaging? Or is it actually being alone, to lack connection? Because there's a lot of things that we can do that are psychologically damaging that we don't realise are, because we don't feel it, we're not aware of it. Or is it just that when you feel lonely, that is when it's a problem, because it probably raises your cortisol levels and things like that. So the feeling of loneliness, I've done this for years, and it's like, I've been fine, but it was only like the contrast of like, oh wow, okay, this is how it feels. This is how it feels. Really, really interesting, everyone. Callie says, I used to do parties in the early days of having my flat, and it was really nice when a friend stayed back to help clear up, as it would take ages clearing up my own room. Okay, Hannah says, snakes only need one rat every 2 weeks. My ball python is fun and likes to hang, but doesn't satisfy the snuggle urge. By the way, speaking of creatures, I have found so many massive house spiders since I got back from vacation. There was one in the hallway that was absolutely gigantic. There was one above my bed. Thank goodness I found it before I went to bed. And then there was one that when I opened the front door this morning, it was in the little, the little trough. Not a technical term. In the little bit under the door, and it was running backwards and forwards. Oh. I'm just going to read this out because I like it. You're cool, man. I don't know who that was aimed at, but I'm going to claim it. Thank you, Game Cat Chicago. Appreciate it. And we are being social right now. The thing is, we are being social right now, but again, it's like the human touch and connection. Is it masking? I think it is being social. I think it is being social. Bake some cookies before your guests show up. I can't bake cookies. I mean, I could get that cookie mix, but that's not the same thing. Rob says, I think the grass is always greener, right? I'm always jealous of the freedom of people who live alone. My house is always an absolute mess and stinks of dogs. It doesn't stink of dogs. I'm trying to think. I don't think it did. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that is the thing, is there are a lot of life commitments, and as you say, grass is always greener. Grass is always greener indeed. Right, just reading down. Oh, Clem, here we go. Does the snake look at you with utter adoration? Thank you, Clem. That was brilliant. Brilliant. Loved it. Okay, there are salt guns for spiders. Obliterate spiders with high-speed salt and a kill cam. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I also grew up with suspicion that if you kill spiders, there's some kind of like communication with the universe that they'll come back for you. The spiders are so deadly in Australia, they had to ban an episode of Peppa Pig that touched on the subject. Wait, is this some kind of joke? Is this a joke that I'm missing? Rob says, when my wife and daughter have gone away for the weekend in the past, it feels amazing. So I shouldn't read this out loud just in case they hear. To get the house to yourself. After a day, though, I'd start to feel the void of loneliness creeping up on me. There you go. So it's good to have like little breaks and things like that. Yeah, that is evil. Right, I'm going to end the poll. If you haven't finished entering in the poll, I will give you 5 more seconds, although by the time I've said that, I will have closed it because there's a bit of a lag time. I used to have super low latency on this live stream so that you would hear me like a second after I've said it, so it was really, really interactive. But then it meant that YouTube couldn't do real-time closed captions that I know some of you requested, so there is a bit of a delay now. So that's just me talking, so it's more than 5 seconds. Right, we are going to end the poll, but first, let's have a look how we're doing here. Oh, the puzzle's still going, everyone. The live... Let me help you out here. Right, let's get some red. Some of this red can go over here. This is a round bit, so that round bit should go over here, shouldn't it? Yeah, it should go like over here, I think. That is from that. There you go. There we go. If you haven't clicked it yet, the puzzle link is in the is pinned in the live chat. I'm going to put that down there. Got some more bits here. There you go. That goes there. It just flashed. Oh, this is V. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's Dyer. It's going to be like up here or something. I don't know. God, this looks like it's going to be a tricky, everyone. You've got 447 pieces left and only about 20 minutes. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Right, ending. Right, okay, this is what I thought it might have meant. Vargelsoft says, according to Google, Peppa Pig's spider web episode was banned in Australia due to concerns about teaching children not to be afraid of spiders, a potential dangerous message. Yeah, okay, well, over there for sure. King Rilo says, don't kill spiders unless you prefer flies. Right, cool. Right, I'm having a look now. Right, we've got the results to this poll. I'm bringing it up now. Here we go. What have we got? What are your living arrangements? So, I'm actually glad I split it the 4 ways now, actually. So, at number 1, live alone by choice. 45% of people live alone. I find that remarkable. Just because of the cost of living. Yeah, 45%. Okay. Live with someone out of choice. So look at the top 2. I'm happy it's choice. So living with someone, 22%. Then live with someone, have to. And by the way, that's not a dig. That could be just like you're still with your family and stuff like that. 19%. And then live alone because you have to is 12%. Thanks for sharing, everyone. That's interesting. I just want everyone in the chat right now, depending on what your circumstances are, I want to start with the challenges. Can everyone in the chat just list like 1 or 2 things in a comment? What are 1 or 2 of the top challenges of living by yourself? And actually, if you live with someone, you can do that as well. So like maybe in your live chat comment, put live alone and then the 2 challenges, or live with someone, 2 challenges. And this isn't about taking digs. This is just like, what are the challenges? So for me, living alone, what are the challenges? I do think it is, I mean, for me, the number 1 challenge is loneliness. I don't feel alone, but something I do often notice. Like a lot of people say, Myles, you do so much in your free time. Like you never switch off. You're always live streaming or, working on one project or another. And I sort of came to a realization in the last couple of days when speaking with a colleague that it was because, because if I don't do that, I start living in my head. And that's when horrible thoughts start happening. And on the flip side, when I was staying with a mole last week, we were having conversations. That is getting your thoughts and your attention from inside your head. Obviously, you reflect on things, you ponder thoughts, but that's not where it's staying. You're actually like looking outwards. And that's very, very, very important. So yeah, for me, that is the number one, the number 1 challenge. Right, we're just going to have a look here now what everyone's saying. So we've got loneliness. Okay, Hannah says keeping up with domestic responsibilities all by myself. Do you know, I would love to find this tweet that I saved ages ago. I'm going to have a quick look on this as we're going through it. But someone on Twitter was asking, and actually I've seen this asked again recently. Someone was asking, how do you cope with keeping fit, going to the gym, housework, working a full-time job, the list goes on and on. How do you deal with all these things? And someone basically responded and said, you're not meant to deal with all these by yourself. It's because we live in a system, a society that was predicated on the traditional notion that everyone finds a partner and starts a family together where one person is the bread earner, isn't that what it's called? And then one person is staying home with the family. But obviously now you need people that are gonna. I'm just trying to find this because I have this folder on my computer where every time I've taken a screenshot. Let's have a look here. I don't think I've got it. No, I don't. But yeah, because the reality is, so yeah, keeping up with everything. When my parents come over, my mum complains about the place being a mess because my mum has a very, very high level of quality when it comes to cleaning. My mum is a clean freak. Not as bad as some in her family, which is to the extreme. But she's always like, "Oh, what a tip it is here," and I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, mum." But I kind of try and politely communicate to her. You've always lived with my dad since she was like 16, 17. When she wasn't working, she'd be a housewife. He was out, making a living. And so, yeah, you get to split up the jobs and work together on stuff. For me, sorting out the bills and finances, doing errands, food shopping, cooking, cleaning, trying to, find time for hobbies, try and find time for relationships or, socializing, working a full-time job, trying to work out and, keep healthy, and have a social life. These are very hard things to balance. Mojo says, living with family, privacy is a challenge. Can totally see that. Sometimes you just want your own space, but then when you can have people that can always be, even if they're not intruding on your room, but can always be knocking on the door, it just creates a different dynamic, right? Vargelsoft says, live alone. You have to do all the housework, cooking. There we go again. Chris says, dude, this is such a good one. I love this. Chris says, realizing that going to the store is the only words you've spoken the whole day. I love that. Is powerful. Because when I was talking about like how much time you spend in your head, how much time do you actually spend vocalizing? I remember growing up, I felt like I used to be a lot more erudite when I was younger. I used to do a lot of public speaking, used to work in a lot of social environments. And then I definitely spent a lot more time at home, especially during my head injury recovery, which having a knock on the head is definitely going to have an impact as well. And I just lost my verbal agility. And I felt like I had to learn a lot of that again. But yeah, if you live by yourself, I always think about that. Like if I was to put a camera here looking at me for the full day, and I'm just here, sat here in silence, having lots of conversations with people online via Slack and that. But the reality is all I'm doing is sat here, not socializing, not vocalizing. So yeah, that's a really powerful point, Chris. Hannah says, when the jars are really hard to open and I have to bring them to work to have a co-worker open them for me. Oh, that's tough. Vince, great one. When you live alone, if you are sick, you need to look after yourself. Fortunately, my parents live quite near and my mum will always do a little shop for me. But there's a couple of times where they've not been in the country and I've been like, who am I going to ask to drop something off? I'd like to feel that my friends and family know that I'd always happily pick stuff up from the store for them. I know during the pandemic I made it clear to my neighbours, I put myself on this list that if there was any elderly people or people in need that needed stuff picking up from the store, I was willing to do that. But yeah, sometimes you just want someone to take care of you. And when I was unwell last week, Amal took good care of me. Once again, I feel terrible that she's now unwell because of me. Marty says, when I have the place to myself, sometimes the complete silence from the other rooms can be eerie. Likewise, I don't have all the lights on at night. I'm someone who, the idea of living by yourself as a kid, that I was like, I could never do that. The idea I can now. The idea that I can watch horror movies at home on my own now, I can't believe that. But I do think that is because I play horror VR games now by myself, although I will usually have an in-ear piece so I can hear you in the chat, keeping me company, or, mocking me, yeah. Callie says, and by the way, as I'm going through this, if we switch gear now, I would love to hear the positives. So again, say your situation. And by the way, if you don't want it read out, you can put it in brackets and say, don't read this out. And, if you just want to be a part of the conversation but not have it read out, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, I would like everyone just to share a positive about their situation. And we've touched upon this already. So for me, my top positive of living alone is having complete freedom, in the sense that when I wake up, I can go at my own pace. If I want to have a shower, I know I can have a shower. If I need to use the toilet, I can use the toilet. If I want to eat something, I can sort of decide. But then there's a lot of flip sides with this. I know I would do a lot more cooking at home if I lived with someone. I'd love to cook for someone. I'd love to cook for a partner or a friend. That's something I definitely would love to do a lot more of. So Callie says, the biggest challenge there is no one to counter my faults. The worst excesses I often don't realise. That's a great point. If you've got no one to call you out and stuff, you can sometimes get into these bad habits. They always say, like, if you got a gym partner, keeps you accountable. If one of you has the motivation to go to the gym, that's good enough. Both of you can go to the gym. Whereas if it just relies on you, it's a lot more difficult. Roy says, the only challenge living alone is my health. Sometimes it's hard to do things that need to be done. Yeah, can totally appreciate that. With all this, it's assuming that you have the autonomy to do everything friction free. Amnesia says, for me, loneliness and having to remember everyday tasks with amnesia. I can't even begin to imagine how tough that is, Pete. Much love to you, brother. Right. Vargasov says, live alone, food shopping for one can be a pain. Yeah, actually, and I think that gets back to the cooking thing. I know you can cook in batches, but, when you buy, even a ready meal, it says serves two. I'm not going to have it serving. I'm just going to try and eat it all. That's how I feel. I need to live with people, tidy people, or I don't see a point in making an effort. That's fair. That's fair indeed. Cool. I tidied my flat before I visited family, and I felt like I came back to a catalogue flat, made some mess to feel like home. That's amazing. That's amazing, Kira. It does feel so good, though, when you do have a proper clean-up. I definitely need to do one of them at this place. You've automated a lot of your grocery shopping with Amazon. Okay. Chris says, I buy food that takes the least amount of effort. When I live with people, we cook for each other. That's awesome. Yeah, taking turns. It goes back to all the other tasks. Everyone can chip in here and there. Right. Vargasov says, I just talk to myself all the time. Sometimes it's the best conversation of the day. Base Man Lofty says, live alone. Everything is designed for couples. Bills for, this is what we were talking about. Reliance on staying well without sickness. Loss of income through sickness is always an ongoing concern. Especially for those of you that are freelance. I was freelance for 6 years by myself, and you are literally living hand to mouth. You had COVID and didn't know what to do about food shopping. See, that's a difficult thing, man. It's a difficult thing. Because neighbourhoods and communities are a lot more isolated than they used to be, right? I don't know what it is like wherever you live, but, I think just communities and neighbourhoods were a lot more closer together. My neighbour who's moved out now, there's no one living there at the moment. When they moved in, I introduced myself. I put a letter through their letterbox with my name, my number, saying if you ever need anything. And I did a follow-up a few months later because I never heard back, and I never heard anything. And I thought that was a real shame. And it's, on the one hand, I'm like, people have no obligation, to talk to me. But at the same time, it's like just a little acknowledgement would be nice. But it can be difficult. Some people just like to keep to themselves. Again, some people like living by themselves and being completely isolated. Others are more sociable. I have neighbours that love to chat all the time and hang out and stuff like that, which is great. living with people equals fights. I guess we're not on the positives yet. Mojo says, positives living with family, security, support, company. Great. Absolutely. Totally understand that. Chris says you need to live with people you like and not total wasters, which can be difficult when it comes to family. You can't choose your family. And sometimes you can't choose, because I know we were saying, like, did you choose to live with someone? You might have chose to live with someone, but you didn't choose that person in particular. And that can be difficult because, you know, once you start living with someone, it can be quite hard. You can't kick them out and stuff like that. I'm going to relate to this one. Positive of living alone. I don't feel bad about having a gaming room and a sim racing room. Hell yeah. Oh, my living room, the way it's set out, a part of me is like, there's no way that would happen if I lived with someone. Although if I had a partner that was into gaming and that, I think they'd be fine with it. Not about fights, it's about coexistence. We're talking about Resident Evil 7 can't play in an empty house, especially in VR. Yeah, I can only play it when I've got an in-ear piece in. Cooking in batches, very, very important. Some people do vacuum sealing when they cook and stuff like that. See, barbecue in the sun with the family. So I do go to my parents for a barbecue at the weekends when they invite me. And again, I'm very fortunate that I live, you know, a 15-minute drive from my parents. So I'm very, very lucky there. But, you know, just having someone to speak with first thing in the morning can be nice. The positives, I stay up as late as I want. I sleep in as late as I want, cook what I want and eat when I want. So yeah, you have complete autonomy to do what you want when you want it. But again, when I was staying at my friend's last week, I was doing things that I wouldn't normally do, but just doing it with someone else made me happy. I'm someone who never likes reality TV, if anything, despises it. But just sitting there watching reality TV with a friend was absolutely wonderful. And I realised it would actually do me good doing things where I could actually switch off. People talking about being unwell is not great. Really interesting stories people are sharing here. Pete says, positive of living alone. Being able to meet people whenever I want and freedom of choosing what time of day you can play games. Yeah. Having to share the console. Oh, be terrible. Live with a relative, but he only leaves his room to go to work, so it's just like living alone, except he pays half the rent. Best of both worlds. The fear of losing front door keys. God, yeah, when you're alone, that is a big issue, isn't it? That is a really, really big issue. Listen, everyone, this time has absolutely flown by. I'm just having a look at my notes for this. There was a load of questions I had. But I want to thank everyone, actually, for sharing all that. It's been a really interesting conversation and really insightful. And, you know, we were talking about vitamin G earlier. This has definitely made me realise the things I should be grateful for in my current living situation. But it's also looking at what are the benefits in the other situation. So someone mentioned, you know, having a barbecue with family if you live with them. You know, if I wasn't doing it already, I'd be like, oh, maybe I can still have a barbecue with my family or friends. I definitely know coming back from the States, I need to do more social things with my friends. And I'm doing a couple of things this month for sure. So that will be good. Something I would say, though, when it comes to organising things with friends, I don't know if Rob is still in the chat, but I do need to drop him a line soon because I said I would when I got back from America. We're going to go on some long walks together. But there's always a tendency to just go, yeah, we'll organise something. Just get a date in the diary and then just make it happen. That's usually what you have to do because life moves so quickly, and you know often you have to make time, and that can be a big commitment in itself. So that's always really, really, really important. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This was a really, really nice conversation. It was good to reflect on, and I can't believe how quickly this flew by. But looking at the puzzle, there's still 300 pieces left, so this will be going on long after the live show. This looks like it's going to be a much more difficult one than I thought. I'm just going to help out here, putting that there. Does that actually go higher? No, it doesn't. No, it does go there. Where does that go? That goes there. Yeah. So I just want to help out with this now. Where does that go? It's there. There we go. Is Looper not? Yeah, I don't think Looper's about today. Looper is an absolute star when it comes to the puzzles. So no Looper, it seems. So you are all going to have to absolutely go for it. But I believe in you. I believe in you, people. You can smash this. You can smash this. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already. And just a reminder, I have got a lot of PSVR2 Let's Plays happening this month. I have so many games, a lot of horror games. So I'll be wearing the heart monitor and live streaming. So you have all that to look forward to. But yeah, take good care of yourselves. I've got a lot of Myles Dyer live shows planned, like topics. Some really random ones, some good fun discussion topics, and some other serious ones as well. But yeah, this takeaway I said from earlier, biscuits. Thank you all, everyone. I keep wondering what to say at the end. I don't know if there's anything for me to say at the end. I feel like I'm out of practice, even though I did kind of a live show last week, but just not here at my desk. But I'm also still quite tired and things like that. So, yeah, a huge thank you to all my mods in the chat. You wonderful lot. I want to say thank you to everyone that's been tuning in. I want to say thanks again for those that gave super chats. Those of you that click the join button and become a member for as much as a cost of a coffee once a month, it really helps me with the channel. Yeah, lots and lots of exciting things planned as we go into the final quarter of this year. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Has anyone seen the new Saw movie, by the way? I do actually want to go and see it, just because it's supposedly based between the first and the second movie, so it's quite character driven. Let me know during the outro. So without further ado, I want to say thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Adios till next time. Bye-bye.
I saw you on the road. I was chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye, big sky. Far away, but dreaming of your ocean eyes. I saw you on the road. I was chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye, big sky. Far away, but dreaming of your ocean eyes. I saw you on the road. I was chasing sunsets all alone. The darkness faded, painting goodbye, big sky. Far away, but dreaming of your ocean eyes.
All right, two things, people. One, I would love to have one of these now. It'd be a nice comfort drink. I want them to do decaf. I want them to do decaf biscuit tea. Hopefully they can do decaf biscuit tea. Hopefully it's out there somewhere. I don't think there was when I went to the store, but I'll have to find out. Decaf biscuit tea would be absolutely wonderful. And then secondly, before I go, there is a song that I would love to play at the start of the show, but it's on the Monster Cat record label, but it's not on their creators Monster Cat Gold membership, which is what I pay for every month, so I can play the stuff on the show. So I'm going to tell you about it now, and then you can look it up if you have Spotify. It's on YouTube as well, actually. It is called. It's actually by. Wait, let me find this here. Wow, where is it? Why does it never appear there? That's really bizarre. Right, so it's on my playlist, EDM Joy. Right, the song is called Open Heart, and it's by Keepsake, which he was also known as like Richard Cuddock, I think his name was. He did a song which I have played on here before. Let me see if I've got it. I'll play it now if I can. Because it's a Richard Caddock. Right, so this song and the voice is him. I love it. Right? So he did a song with Mazar, who actually followed me on Twitter, and he was really appreciative of us playing it on the show. There is a song called Open Heart, and it's by Mazar, M-A-Z. Do you know what? I'm just going to put the link to the song. I've put it in the chat. And I'll type it. I'll just bring this up on chat so anyone that's watching it on replay can see it. Yeah, that song is amazing that I played, but check this song. This song, here it is. Check it out. I'm actually speaking with Monster Cat, and Mazar says they're working on getting it on the catalogue. Yeah, check that song, and then let me know in the comment section of this video afterwards what you think of it, or on the Discord, because this song, it just gets me in the feels. I love the lyrics. I love the lyrics so much. It's an absolutely beautiful song, sung really, really, really well. Let me find it here. Yeah, the lyrics are, so I'll live with an open heart, and I'll show you every part, every secret that I hold waiting to unfold. And as the shadows of yesterday begin to fall away, as I look at the rising sun, I know I have just begun. It's such a feel-good song. Such a feel-good song. I'm going to listen to it as soon as this stream's over. But I really, really want to play it. And to be honest, I could probably play it on the stream and get away with it. They'll just obviously do a monetization claim. But I don't want to risk ruining an entire live show because of that. So I am going to push for it. And the moment that Monster Cat add it, I'll be playing it on the show. So, yeah. Anyway, that's enough of my ramble. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Love you all. Take good care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.